I know that sinking feeling when you check your bank account and realize life happened again. You had a budget, you had a plan, and somehow the money is still gone. If you're managing a home on one income, or you're in a season when nothing feels settled and life just won't slow down, most budgeting advice feels harsh and unrealistic, unattainable. And if you've tried to budget before and felt like nothing you tried actually worked, then this is for you. Today, I want to share the way I learned to stop bleeding money without feeling trapped by numbers that don't match real life. Hard lessons I learned when we were newly married and nearly went bankrupt during the 2010 recession. If budgeting has always felt restrictive to you, that's exactly what this approach is meant to change. I'm going to walk you through this in 3 simple shifts, not because life is simple, but because complicated systems don't survive chaotic seasons. The last shift surprised me because it had nothing to do with money at all. We're going to start with the most practical shift because when you're living on one income, you need clarity first. Living on one income isn't just about having less money, it's about the constant tension and worry of knowing there's no buffer or room for mistakes. And there's a big difference between choosing one income and having it forced on you. When it's a choice, you usually have some room to adjust. When it's forced, everything feels more urgent because there isn't another option for you right now. When we were newly married, our income dropped to below our expenses, and that's when things became very real, very fast. We had to get brutally honest about what survival actually looked like for us in that season and what we really needed in our lives and what we were willing to do to get past it. We didn't have kids, luckily, which gave us flexibility. So we cut our groceries to the bone. We shared resources with family and made very uncomfortable but temporary decisions to get through those months. It was only 3 months, but it felt like an eternity. And here's the part I want you to hear clearly. It's about stopping the bleeding and buying yourself breathing room. This matters most if you're in a relationship. Why? Because a continuous financial crisis will take its toll on it, no matter how supportive your partner is, and even more so if your partner is not supportive of your efforts. As much as you can, try to get your partner on board with the season you're in and the plan you're formulating to get you out of it. For about 2 years, Andrew went on work trips without a cent extra to spend on drinks or airtime. He really did what he could to carry us through that time as quickly as possible. Now, if this video is helpful for you so far, I'd love for you to like and subscribe. Watching until the end also really helps this channel reach other women in similar seasons. And once that realistic budget, no matter how tight it was in place, I had to look at my habits for calmer days. Grocery planning is something I always talk about when I talk about finances because for most families, this is where money slips away without even noticing. Every single thing we spend money on is tied to time, the time you spend working to earn it. And for me, that means I value memories more than designer jeans and a bigger house. Recently, we had to buy Andrew a full set of winter clothes because he's heading to Europe for work and it's freezing where he's going. Now, for those that don't know, we used to live in South Africa, then the Cayman Islands, and now we're in Dubai. So winter clothes for him is usually just a hoodie and shorts. We obviously expected the expense, but we didn't really save for it properly, and that's on me. I didn't make it a priority. So instead of panicking, we had a look at the budget, made a simple adjustment, and we decided not to eat out as much in January and February. And that choice alone covered the cost, and we are now back on track. And this is really the point I want to make here. Habits matter more than perfection. Most of us don't actually need new things. We want new things. And this kind of season can feel uncomfortable at first, but knowing it's temporary helps you build momentum instead of resentment. One habit that changed everything for me was how I planned groceries. On Sunday afternoons, I planned meals for the entire week around what was happening. On Wednesdays, I would check what was still in the fridge and freezer and if there was any leftovers, and I pivot if I needed to. And on Fridays, I adjusted for the weekend. I actually went to the stores more often than most frugal advice recommends, but this rhythm worked for me. Why? Because checking in every few days using what we already had saved money and it reduced stress. Because even though I planned, I didn't have to stick to it and I could pivot as I needed. And because there wasn't money for extras anyway, it removed temptation and I kept my eyes on the end goal. Around the same time, I started wearing my clothes until they were truly worn out. Then I'd replace only that item and I turned it into a bit of a hunt. I'd go through all the shops and find the one item I really liked, and it became fun. Rotating my clothes between seasons helped mentally too. It felt like having new clothes without spending more every few months. Now, I've lived this way for so long now that these habits are just rules that I follow without thinking. And here's the one that surprised me most. Minimalism. I've shared before, I know. I've shared before, and I'll link the video here, how living through the recession gave me a poverty mindset. I held on to everything just in case. The results was my tiny house filled to the brim with things I never actually used. It wasn't functional. Cooking a normal meal felt like a chore because I had to move stuff, to get to stuff, just to do stuff. I didn't enjoy living there at all. But when I finally minimized, with the help of my sister, to fit the space I was actually living in, something unexpected happened. I could finally relax without feeling like I should be doing something all the time. My nervous system could go back to zero, right? I started enjoying my life, and once spending stopped driving my decisions and living did everything shifted. I started gardening, I started decorating, and I fell in love with that little house. We lived there for almost 18 years before we immigrated. What surprised me most was how much this minimizing changed my spending. I never realized how much money I was wasting until I had physical space to stand back and look at my space clearly. From then on, every purchase came with a simple question. Where are you going to live in my little house? If I already owned something similar, like a kettle, I asked myself which one I actually liked. If I didn't like the new one better, I didn't buy it. If I did, the duplicate left immediately. The outcome wasn't deprivation. So the outcome of minimalism and minimizing wasn't deprivation. It was this beautiful home filled with only the things that I generally liked and loved. That mindset stayed with me. Even now, living in Dubai, I know this is temporary. Even if we're going to be here for 10 years, I only buy what we truly need, not because I don't want it, but because I don't need it. I'm not going to live here forever. Even when matching coffee and tea containers look tempting, because I do like pretty containers and I like a space that functions well. If you're in a season where you know what you want, but you're struggling to move forward without burning yourself out, I created something for you. The Simple Shift is my coaching space where I share one gentle reflective post every day of the year. Each month has a theme, and the goal isn't to rush or overhaul your life. It's to help you make small, steady shifts towards the goal you've already set for yourself. It's for the woman who's ready to fall in love with her life, even in seasons that feel chaotic and unpredictable. If that sounds like what you need right now, I'll leave the link below and I'll see you there. And if not, that's okay. I'm really glad you spent this time with me today. Take what you need from this video and leave the rest. So until next time, guys. Bye.
I don't think so.